All right, so this is the Couch Pundits podcast. We're doing a Premier League roundup for game week 32. So, we're gonna review the games or preview the games for this week. So first off, Darrell, we have tonight's game, Friday night, Everton versus Spurs.
Yeah, so this is actually a fairly important game in the season when you think that Everton are in eighth place and Spurs are in seventh, only 1 point separating them, and Everton have a game in hand. So obviously, like they'll still have a game in hand after this game, but the fact that they could potentially go ahead of them and have a game in hand would be a big step forward for Everton in securing some type of European football next year, whether it's Champions League or Europa League. I mean, you'd think like Everton, well, both teams are in pretty bad form. Let's be honest here.
Yeah.
Like Spurs last game lost to United after going 1-0 up at home as well. Um, I know that doesn't make much of a difference anymore, but still, like going 1-0 up and then losing 3-1 was just horrible for them. Like I don't know any other word that can describe how their football is, but just horrible.
Yeah.
Then Everton, on the other hand, haven't had much better. Like they've lost to Burnley recently, drew at Crystal Palace, and then drew at Brighton. Like it hasn't been great on their part either. One thing to note for Everton is that so before the game, it was confirmed that Calvert-Lewin won't play, Mina won't play, Delph won't play, Decore won't play, and Gabaman won't play. Um, Pickford is back in training, so is Alan, Andre Gomez, and Josh King, but aren't confirmed that they'll be in the squad until tonight when the squad and subs come out. And then on the other hand, Spurs are only missing Doherty and Davies. So I mean, Everton are weak at the moment, especially if Pickford, Alan, Andre Gomez, and Josh King also aren't available. Um, so they're in a bad way at the moment. Everton. On their last head to head, it was in the FA Cup, and Everton won 5-4. So Mourinho came out today and said that he confirms that it will not be 5-4 again, but he obviously has a magic ball or something because there's no way for him to predict that. Um,
Stay of the
what do,
defense, lady. You never know.
yeah, what do you think of Everton's injuries going into this game? Because as I said, there's a lot of them.
Yeah, that's really poor. Calvert-Lewin's the main one. Like he's been quality for them this season. Like it's not even just the goals he's provided. Like he's not one of them players who's only a goal scorer. And, like he gives you so much along with that. Like he's such a threat to centre halves. Like in the air, like I'd say like that is the number one thing in their game plan. Like as a manager going into a game with Everton, you're thinking how do we deal with Calvert-Lewin's aerial threat. So that's a massive one for them. Gomez has actually been decent over the last few years for Everton. He's been a decent player for them. I think like they're both not playing great, but like I'd probably give Everton a chance. Is it in Goodison?
Yeah, it's in Goodison.
Yeah, like Spurs are just so poor lately. Like you're always just relying on a moment from Kane or Son. Um really, because like they're just so poor lately. Like I just don't enjoy watching Spurs. Like and with the players they have. Like you have Bergwijn, Lucas Moura, Bale, Son, Kane, like the rest is like Ndombele, like is there's so many good attacking players there. Like they should be one of the best teams in the league to watch when you consider the players that they have coming off the bench, never mind starting. Like they have the best player in the league this season in Kane, and they're still shocking, like which just shows how poor they've been. I know everyone can say, like, you can look at it and say, oh well, they're only whatever 3 or 4 points, whatever it is, off top four. But like that's just taking it out of context. Like they were my favorite for a third, like behind Liverpool and City at the start of the season
Yeah,
after the signings they made. Like I was just like kind of shocked to be honest with how bad they've been over the last few months. So the last 6 months has just been a disaster since like November when they won the league in November, like everyone
yeah,
was saying.
I know.
Um, but no, they've just been so poor. I'd probably go with a draw for this one. To be honest, I can just see like Spurs should be winning it, but like Everton have been decent this season. They kind of had a drop off for a while there, and their injuries are poor. But I could just see a draw in this one.
Yeah, I fully agree. That was what I was thinking as well. It's what I'm hoping for as well.
Yeah.
I think it would help everyone above both teams. If they just both drew and that'd be it. Yeah, I'm going with a draw. Um, I don't even think this is going to be a good game, to be honest with you. I'll watch it because there's nothing better to do tonight, but I really don't think it's going to be great. Hopefully it's 5-4.
You know what I was saying to you though about don't back the early kickoff this weekend because there's a Friday night kickoff. Is this the early kickoff or is 12:30 tomorrow still the early kickoff?
I think half 12 tomorrow is still the early
12:30
kickoff.
Saturday is always the early kickoff. You just don't back,
On
which
to
is
half
on
12
to the next
Saturday.
game. I have this one, and this is one I would say don't back for any gamblers out there. I'm not one myself, but 12:30 Saturday, Newcastle are playing West Ham. It's a Newcastle are at home in St James Park. West Ham are obviously having a quality season. They're only 1 point off Leicester in third, and they're one ahead of Chelsea in fifth, but they're sitting themselves in fourth place. Um, Newcastle as well. They've been so bad this season, but they just seem to pull a result out of nowhere at times. They get that draw against Spurs last week. Absolute crucial win against Burnley. 1-2-1. Newcastle are sixth and clear at the moment with a game in hand over Fulham, who are in 18th. Fulham sitting 17th. Sorry. Newcastle sitting 17th. Fulham
Yeah.
are in 18th in the relegation places, and Newcastle are sixth clear with a game in hand. Um, yeah. So if Newcastle were to win this, they'd go nine clear of Fulham before Fulham play on Sunday, which, as much as I love Fulham, you'd be thinking like that is going to be
Burns.
impossible. Like with 5, 6 games to go, like you're not getting 3 wins out of that unless it's a miracle. Um, the thing for Newcastle is though they have really bad injuries at the moment. Looking likely to be out for this game. Lascelles, Shar, Fraser, and Hayden. Hayden's out for the rest of the season. Um, and then but West Ham have been so badly hit by injuries. Like it's not one. I know everyone talks about Liverpool and then Leicester kind of, but West Ham are without Rice, who's likely to miss the next few weeks. Antonio, Ogbonna, then Lanzini, Noble, Cresswell, and Yarmolenko are all doubts for this game. Lanzini was described as 50-50. Noble picked up a knock lately. Cresswell, who's having a great season with 7 assists, not even talked about. He's having a
Yeah.
great season. He's out. But then obviously the main man is still fit for West Ham. Lingard, 9 games and 8 goals and 3 assists for him. He's been unbelievable. Definitely on the plane for England in summer with me, or for England in the summer for me. But if it wasn't the early kickoff, you'd be saying West Ham, but it is so. It's such a hard one to predict. Like I can honestly see, I can see West Ham drawing or losing here, just because I don't think they're gonna get top four. Like I don't think they're gonna win every game between now and the end of the season. And I think the kind of games like I would back Newcastle against. Sorry, I'd back West Ham against a Spurs or a Chelsea or a United before I'd back them against a Newcastle or a Southampton. Like I just feel like they'll lose to teams like that. It's the same way I feel about Leicester. Like you feel like Leicester up their game against the top sides, and then against the teams where they should be beating them, they kind of drop off. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's a dodgy one. I still do think that West Ham should win it. I know should and will are two completely different words, but I do. I think
Yeah.
with the quality of Lingard this season and the quality of Thomas Suchek and Jared Bowen and stuff like that, I think this should be not an easy game because I think Newcastle are just going to set up in that defensive block, not give West Ham that space in behind. But I still think West Ham should win it because Newcastle, I know they've got two kind of decent results in the last two games, but like they're still just not great. Like I watched the whole match against Burnley, and like their first half performance was one of the worst performances I've ever seen of football in my entire life. Like you could literally walk down to Verona and see a better performance. Like
Yeah, I think Rice being out is going to be a massive loss for West Ham in the last few weeks of the season. I think that might be the reason that they might not get top four. I think he's still out for another few weeks. Not sure how long, but I know he's not going to be fit for this game or most likely for the next game. But oh no, I can see a draw in this. Like as much as Newcastle have been like so poor this season, but they have got a draw against Spurs and a crucial 2-1 win against Burnley recently. So I'm gonna go with a draw here, and just the fact that it's the early kickoff. That's the only thing really sending me over the edge, to be honest.
I'm still going to go with a West Ham win.
Okay.
Um, I just can't. Something in me just won't let there be two draws in a row for the first two games.
Yeah.
If there is, that's just horrible stuff.
Yeah.
That's me hoping more than anything else.
Yeah. I want West Ham to lose as well, though, for Chelsea's sake.
Yeah, me too.
Anyway,
Um,
what's our next game?
the FA Cup match, a little bit away from the
Semi-final.
Premier. Yeah, a little bit away from the Premier League, but it's the next match of the weekend, and it's a big one. So Chelsea
Yeah,
versus
it has to be
City
covered
in Wembley.
in
Um,
Wembley. Yeah, the 5:30 on Saturday. In terms of injuries, there's no real massive concerns. Aguero's out for City, but that's just like saying, "Oh, the sky's blue" at this stage. Like he's just never fit. And to be honest, even if he was fit, he just doesn't even start for them a lot of the time anyway. One
yeah,
one concern though for Chelsea, the only injury concern is that Kovacic is out with this. He missed the game against Porto during the week as well, the second leg, and he just picked up an injury in training earlier this week before the match, and yeah, he's not going to be back for this, but I think it's going to be okay. Like you still have Kante, Jorginho, and Mount there as well. So I'm not too worried there. Chelsea are only really playing at two in the middle anyway.
yeah,
Um, Chelsea and City have played once this season in the league. That game in Stamford Bridge in December, where City dominated the game. They won 3-1. It felt like that was kind of the turning point for City. Like they had that half an hour period where they looked like back to their best. Gundogan was absolutely on fire in that game. I remember thinking I'd never seen him play like that, and then he just continued that form for the rest of the season. But oh no, it's a difficult one. This is in Wembley as well, so it's not like neither side is home or away. City and Chelsea do have good pedigree in the FA Cup. Obviously, Chelsea got to that final last year. City won it in 2019, and then Chelsea won it in 2018, and they've both won a lot of FA Cups in the last kind of 10 years. I think they've won the most, well, along with Arsenal, them three mainly winning it. It's a difficult one. I think Chelsea's so good defensively, and obviously City are one of the best teams in Europe, if not the best at the moment. Obviously, through to the Champions League semis during the week. Then again, so are Chelsea though. I know they're against Porto, but I don't know. It's a tough one to call for me. Obviously, as a Chelsea fan, but I'm gonna go with Chelsea. I honestly do think that I think Chelsea are actually like I'm not discrediting City here. I think they're the best side in Europe, to be honest. But I just think Chelsea under Tuchel, like when people think of Chelsea versus City, they think of Lampard's Chelsea. Like this is a totally different team. Like this team and Lampard's team are not even comparable. This is a
yeah,
team that is built to win tournaments. Like this is a team that is going to win trophies over the next 2 or 3 years, with or without Thomas Tuchel. Like it's just the makings of a side. It feels like that kind of the beginning of a new era now. Like it started last year under Lampard. That was kind of getting the wheels in motion, and now we're going into another era of when Chelsea are going to be winning things. Like they're not going to be I knew Abramovich wouldn't stand for long with the whole, oh, we're building a team, like we're it's okay, we come seventh or we're coming sixth this year, oh, that's okay, we'll go again next year. Like he's never gonna stand for that. Like he gave Lampard, Chelsea's probably best player ever, 18 months in charge. They had one rough month and he's out the door. Like he's so ruthless, and he's gunning for trophies. Like I guarantee you, like as much as if Tuchel wins the Champions League in a month's time and Chelsea are 10th in November. Like he's sacked. Like he's literally gone. So I think this team is built to win trophies with the way they're so defensively solid. I think Chelsea's attack is always a concern, but they always have a goal or two in them. So I'm gonna go Chelsea for this.
Well, I'm not going to match it on that. I'm gonna go with
Mm.
City. I just think City are too strong. Really, like
Yeah,
you can kind of predict the way the game's going to go before. Obviously, you can't predict the score, but you'd take it that City are going to have about 55 to 65% possession, and Chelsea are going to, obviously they're going to press and stuff, but they're not going to overly press, because I think that's one thing that City want you to kind of do is let them kind of pass the ball around you and you just run after them for a while. Um, but personally, I just see a clinical City win here. I think it's just going to be, you know, it's just going to be a City. It's just City. Like it's just 2-0 win. I think that's like their trademark thing. It's just 2-0 win.
yeah.
Close, two
They can
goals
score 8
first
if they
half or
want against
something.
anyone, but they just
Yeah,
don't.
but they just
They never
don't.
score more than three because they just get bored, I think.
Yeah, they're just like, I here, like, they'll just pass the ball around. Like, we're not going to need goal difference. But yeah, that's just what I see. Just, not based on really any stats, just from their form this year. You
Yeah,
know, I think Kovacic is still, although he's not the biggest miss, I think he is a big miss. Um, just for the kind of physical battle, maybe because you have Jorginho in there. I'd say he's better on the ball than off the ball. Where Kovacic, although he's good on the ball, I would say he's more off the ball dominant, which is the type of players you want to play against City. Bit like Kante, like Kante is good on the ball, but he's definitely an off the ball player, or like Ndidi. Um, but yeah, I think it's just going to be clinical. I can see maybe like a player like Jorginho or something like that giving the ball away early, 15 minutes, City grab a goal, and then it's curtains from there. Like,
yeah. Now, one thing I will say about Jorginho though, because like I'm not one of them people who thinks like a lot of people seem to be black or white with Jorginho. Like you either think he's literally the second coming of Pirlo, or you think he's genuinely useless. Like I don't think Pirlo, oh my god, Jorginho is I don't think he's like world class or anything. But the one thing I think he is great in is these games. I'd actually play him over Kovacic in this game, even if he was fit, just due to the fact that he's so good when it comes to beating a press. Like the amount of times, like it's such an underrated thing about him is the amount of times he receives the ball from one of the centre halves or the goalkeeper, and he's actually able to like do a smart turn and or like just receive the ball under like so much pressure from one or two players, and he actually gets the ball. Like it actually is so rare that he loses the ball, and he plays in such a high risk way. But like he makes so little mistakes. Like I can probably think of maybe one time this season where he's made a mistake. Um, in terms of his passing. Like he's not perfect, but I think these are the games where I would play him. Like I almost wouldn't play him against a smaller team, and it's like a team like this who do try and press you so well that he can actually like he's such a big player in terms of beating the first press of like City's attack. So I actually would play him in this game. I think he is. I think he is underrated. Like not, and as I said, I don't think he's like unbelievable or anything, but I think he has a lot more than people realize. Like people think he's just like this fella who just like sits in the edge of the box, like just passing the ball around, like without a clue. But he's genuinely so good at beating teams that press and creating then obviously space for other Chelsea's attacking players. So I actually think I would start him over Kovacic anyway. But yeah, no, I think it will be. It's such a tough game. It's not going to be like it's going to be tight regardless.
yeah, I agree with everything that you said there. He's a bit like the Thiago style of player, where he is able to just play like one threaded pass through, and that's the press is over. I just worry about him defensively, and like
Yeah,
it's
that's the thing about him.
the fact that Chelsea aren't gonna well, they will have a good bit of the ball compared to most teams against City, but they definitely won't have the majority of it. And I think when City get into that groove, like the way they did against Leicester, where they go like, you know, whatever it was, like 7 minutes without Leicester getting a touch of the football. Um, like I worry for Jorginho in situations like that.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, so yeah, we're split on that, but sure, look,
yeah.
we'll see,
So what's the next game up?
Saturday night at 8:15, it's Wolves versus Sheffield United. Big match, top of the table stuff. No, this is going to be probably a horrible match to watch. It was 3 o'clock. It was the whatever 2:45 or 3:15 or whatever time the match is at usually at that time, but it was moved because of Prince Philip's funeral. Funny
What
enough,
was it? I didn't even
yeah,
know that.
yeah. Bit of fun fact. But it was moved, so it means you can watch it on TV because I don't know if you even know about this. There's a rule that you can't have live football on Sky Sports at 3. Don't know if you
Yeah,
knew that.
yeah, I know.
3 p.m.
I remember
blackout.
hearing about
But this game's probably going to be absolutely awful because of the amount of injuries. Wolves will be without Willy Bolly due to COVID. Obviously, Jimenez, Johnny, Pedro Neto, Ruben Neves, and Fernando Marcal. Can't remember his first name. The left back, the Brazilian left back. Which when you think of that, like right, Jimenez, he's been out for ages, but like Willy Bolly at the back, Pedro Neto, probably their best player this year. Ruben Neves,
that. Definitely.
probably their best centre midfielder. Like they're just not looking great here. Like if there's ever a time for Sheffield to get a few points, this is probably the day.
Yeah.
Um, and then Sheffield United, I guess good news for them. Basham should be back. Their centre half. But Jack Robinson and Jack O'Connell should be out, as well as Ollie McBurney should be out, and the interim manager, or the caretaker manager, whatever you want to call it, Paul Heckenbottom, has confirmed that Billy Sharp and Bout Sanderberg will also not play. So both teams should be
Oh,
playing with their
this
under
just
sevens or
sounds
something.
like a barrel of laughs,
Yeah, Wolves in
honestly.
12th on 38 points. Sheffield United dead last on 14 points. Look, if they get a win here, it literally makes absolutely no difference what happens in this match. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
doesn't
No,
really affect
like
anyone.
Sheffield have been shocking. Like besides Pedro Neto, like Pedro Neto has been unbelievable this season. He definitely would have been on the plane at least for Portugal. Like probably wouldn't have been starting, but he definitely would have been a good impact player. He's been
Yeah,
quality this season. Like he's definitely going to be a star for the future. I could definitely see him end up at a top side, a Champions League team.
yeah.
But
He's out for like
without,
6 months.
yeah, 6 months. Yeah, I think it was an
Yeah,
ACL. Um, without Jimenez, Wolves have just been shocking. Like they have
yeah,
no focal point. Like, and I generally just think they're so bad to watch now. Like I used to always enjoy watching Wolves
yeah,
because they'd have Adama Traore, back when they had Jota, Jimenez, then they had Moutinho and Neves, and then like they had a good back five and a quality keeper. They're
yeah,
just so boring now. Like I just think they're just so bad to watch. Like besides Pedro Neto, like, who actually has filled Jota's place so well.
yeah,
Um, like they haven't even really missed Jota, but yeah, without Jimenez, with no focal point, like they brought in William Jose. I've only watched him, I think, 2 or 3 times, but he's been awful whenever I've watched him. Fabio
yeah.
Silva looks like a talent, but he's 18. Like you can't rely on
It's
him
too
to
soon.
score you 20 goals. Yeah, like he's 40 million at 18. So like, oh, it's a lot of money, but obviously he has talent, but he's not going to be getting you 20 goals anytime soon. And then Sheffield are just like you almost feel bad for them at this stage. Like they just want the season to be over. They've sacked Wilder, like just a bit of a mess. Like they're the kind of team I don't think will come back up for a while. Like I don't think they're
Yeah,
the kind of team where it's like Norwich where they genuinely have a good manager, good young players, and they're gonna come straight back up. Like they have a lot of kind of older players and players who just aren't good enough. Like Sander Bird's definitely leaving. Like
yeah,
I'd say he's definitely the top earner at the club, and he's probably on a really good wage because like you could definitely imagine him at like an Everton or a team of that, even like a Leicester.
yeah.
So
There was rumors of him
no,
going to Liverpool actually.
yeah, yeah. Like I think this is going to be a boring game, but is it in Wolves?
Yeah,
Wolves?
it's in Wolves Stadium.
Yeah, I'll just go with a Wolves win because Sheffield have been shocking, but I don't know. I don't think either team cares this stage. Like a
No,
win or a loss is not making a difference to either of these teams.
no. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Wolves win as well because they still have, like as you said, William Jose hasn't been great, but he had a goal
No.
taken off him last week against Fulham that should have stood. It was like one
Yeah,
of those
yeah,
offside decisions that was just mental. They still have Pundits. They
yeah.
still a better team than Thing. So I'm gonna go with Wolves win as well. Um, the next game is on. So we're on to Sunday now. 1:30 Arsenal Fulham.
Oh yeah, Arsenal Fulham. So, yeah, this is half one on Sunday. Arsenal have a few injury worries. David Luiz is out with his knee. He's meant to be back in the next few weeks. Well, whether that's actually hampering Arsenal, it's up for debate. We don't know. It could be a good thing.
Yeah,
Aubameyang's out with malaria. That was a real shock. I saw that a day or two ago on social media.
yeah.
So I don't know how long he'll be out for, but yeah, he's obviously got malaria when he went back to Gabon with his international team
There
over
was a
the last few weeks.
there was a fella on Sky Sports News today, who was like from like some college in London, who was like a professor on like these types of things, and he said that like the normal person, it should take like 2 to 3 weeks or whatever, and he said like, well, he said that sometimes it can affect for longer, but um, because he was treated so fast, because who he is obviously, and he has money, so he was treated so fast that it should only be 2 or 3 weeks out. So I guess it's not too bad.
Yeah, yeah, I suppose like it's obviously hopefully he recovers quick enough. To be fair, it's not as big of a loss as it would have been last season.
Yeah,
Anyway, obviously like I hope he recovers and everything, but Like for in terms of like actual just on the pitch stuff, it's not as much of a loss as it would have been before. Just the fact that I think he's got 6 goals this season and a few of them have been penalties. Like he's just been
I
so
think it.
poor.
I think it's been in 3 games. I think he got
Yeah,
two and a
yeah.
one.
He's had a few. Yeah, like he's. So I hope it just doesn't turn into another Ozil situation for Arsenal where it's just like a big name player kind of threatened to leave, had a year left in his deal, and then you just gave him a massive contract, and now
Yeah,
you're stuck with him for 4 years. But regardless, getting bogged down in that. Tierney's out for the rest of the season. It could be out for the Euros for Scotland. That's a big blow because he's been one of Arsenal's few like top men this season. And then Odegaard is a maybe for this game. But they still have Smith Rowe. They still have Saka. I think they need to just play that like in a 4-2-3-1. Play that like play Partey Ceballos as the two sitters. Odegaard, Smith Rowe, and Saka, and then play whoever up front. Like that trio is unbelievable. Saka's been probably the one consistent player this season. Smith Rowe has been top player this season. Like Arsenal just lacked creativity so badly in the first half of the season. Like they were genuinely playing like a relegation side.
yeah.
But they've been decent since Christmas.
Since the Chelsea game, really.
Since that Chelsea game, yeah, I feel like at that stage of the season, like any team who are in bad form come against Chelsea, they just used to win. But anyway,
Yeah,
yeah, so Arsenal are sitting in ninth, but Everton have a game in hand. So, and if Everton win that, they'd be 6 points clear. So Arsenal are just it's just such a bad season. Like the fact that he's not like Arteta's not even getting criticised, is just like it just shows like the expectations of that club have just gone down the gutter.
yeah.
Arsenal won the reverse fixture 3-0, um, in at
Game week
Fulham's
one.
ground. Yeah, they won 3-0. But yeah, no, I don't know about this game. It's difficult to say. I just think the fact that Fulham, I think Arsenal will win, but I think it's not. I just think Fulham will be so kind of their heads would be gone after last week. They nearly got that win against Villa, like they thought they were probably going to win it. And then the fact that Newcastle beat Burnley, like just so much things happened where you felt like that was the real changing moment, where you thought all those things went against them in the one week. I'm not like I think it would be a very surprising if they were to kind of win what 3 or 4 out of their next 6 games, like or 7 games. That'd be so difficult.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, I'd probably back Arsenal for this. But at the same time, Arsenal I think are just going to be concentrating on the Europa League. They're obviously through to the semis against Unai Emery against Villarreal.
yeah,
I think that's going to be their main focus because they're not getting even Europa League football in the league.
yeah. I'm actually gonna go for a draw here. I think, depending on how who's is it Burnley that's above? No, it's Newcastle that's above them, isn't it?
Yeah.
So depending on how their fixture goes, I'd probably say a draw for this. I feel like just like obviously the time they played last was game week one, which was like Arsenal's biggest win, I think,
Oh
so
yeah,
far
yeah.
this season. Um, so
Just
I
the
don't know.
one
I
game
feel like
Willian's been good.
yeah, but it's not even that. Like I don't know if you remember how bad Fulham were at the start of the season.
Yeah, they were shocking. They're not as bad as they are now.
Yeah,
Sorry,
so
they're worse than they are now.
yeah. So I actually think it's going to be a draw. Just based on the fact that like that was one of the games where Aubameyang got 2 goals, as far as I remember. And I don't know. Arsenal just aren't convincing for me. And as you said, I think they're going to have their full focus on the Europa League. And I think
Like they just don't care. Like
Fulham
there's
probably
nothing to
have
play for.
Fulham probably have the best fighting attitude in the relegation at the moment. Obviously, they're the closest ones to getting out of it, but you know, every time Scott Parker has spoken in a post-match interview and talked about like how he's working on the mentality of the team, like I'm fully convinced. So I think they could nick a point here, maybe even more. But I don't think Arsenal will win. I think Arsenal just, even though they should be the ones that win, and you know they have the players over Fulham, but I just think Fulham will go out there with
Yeah.
the better mentality and take a draw. Um, the next game on Sunday. Sorry, actually. So yeah, you're going with Arsenal win, aren't you?
I'm going with Arsenal win.
Yeah. So the next game on Sunday is Man United versus Burnley in Old Trafford. So there's a few injuries here. Martial and Phil Jones are out, which I think is fairly well known. Like, um,
Yeah.
especially Martial. I don't think Jones even matters. I don't know why I have it down
I
here,
didn't know.
but
I didn't even know he was still playing.
yeah, well, it's on the piece of paper. So, um, then Eric Boy may be unavailable. I think due to COVID, or he's something to do with like something around COVID. I can't remember. It was, suspected of having it, or was a close contact or something like that.
Yeah,
And then Marcus Rashford may be out with just a slight knock, which would obviously be a big loss if he is out. For Burnley, Barnes is out, Brady's out, and Long is out, and Pope and Jay Rodriguez are questionable. So obviously Pope would be a huge loss because they'd have to put Peacock
yeah.
Farrell in goal, and I don't even know if you know who he is, but he's the Northern Irish goalkeeper. I've seen a few
Never heard of him.
I've seen a few highlights from when he's on international duty, and it doesn't look too bright. So Man United are in second on 63 points, and Burnley are in 16th on 33 points. On the reverse fixture, United won 1-0 in January. I don't know if you remember, it was a proper tight match. Like United done nothing basically, and
Yeah.
Burnley just went full defensive and had a few decent chances as well and couldn't take them. And then Pogba scored in the 70th minute or the 71st minute or something like that. It was a
No, I do
nice
remember
goal.
that.
But yeah, I think Burnley are just like Crystal Palace in this way. The both of them just love an away fixture against a big team.
Yeah.
Like I obviously
You'd
Burnley
know that
beat
better than anyone.
yeah, obviously Burnley beat Liverpool this year, but I remember when we were going to Barcelona, whatever year that was, and we were on the plane. The first thing I checked was the Liverpool Crystal Palace game, and I think Liverpool won like 4-3 in the last minute because I just had that feeling getting on the flight, like, oh, Crystal Palace are getting a
Crystal
win
Palace are
here at
Liverpool's bogey
Anfield.
team, though.
Yeah, and I think I don't have any things here of like previous fixtures, but I think just Burnley are that type of team that will go to the likes of United, Liverpool, Chelsea on the away fixture and just do the job. Like I think that's what they're
Yeah.
kind of built around. So I think it's a bit of an iffy one, this game, especially if Rashford is out, because that means it's like Greenwood and um, James.
Yeah.
James? Am I saying
James,
that?
yeah.
Yeah. Starting on the wings, which just wouldn't be ideal when you're trying to break down the low block. Greenwood obviously wouldn't be too bad for breaking down a low block, but James, like, I think he's like road runner. Like, there's nowhere for him to
Yeah,
run.
he's
Like,
just pace. He's just pace. He's actually
um,
good to be fair to him, he is good in some games. Like some games are
yeah,
suited to him. Like that Leeds game, he was really good.
yeah,
But he's not. He's very pretty limited. Like for a
yeah.
United player.
He'd be good against Liverpool because Liverpool leave that space behind. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
um, but for this match, I don't know.
Is this in Old Trafford?
Yeah, it's in Old Trafford.
I'm just gonna go United. Like United, like 2-0.
Yeah, I'm gonna go United as well. I think it'll be like a 1-0 though. I don't think it's gonna be very exciting.
Yeah, I think United don't. I think United kind of know they're in. They know they're in. They're getting second. Like there's no way they're getting first, but there's no way they're getting third either. Like they're definitely
Yeah,
coming second. They're
yeah,
same with
agreed.
Arsenal to that point. Like I wouldn't be surprised if United do drop a few points over in the last few weeks of the season because they're focused on the Europa League. I know, like people say that you don't want to be like Gary Neville talked about this before, having a good second and a bad second. Like a bad second is finishing 20 points behind City, but a good
Yeah,
second is finishing 7, 6, 7, 8 points off City, where you think it's not unachievable.
yeah.
And that is
You
that is relevant.
keep
But
City
at the
going
end
to
of
the
the
end of the
day,
season. Like,
yeah, yeah. But at the end of the day, like you're still second. Like you're second either whether you come 1 point behind or 20 points. At the end of the day, like
yeah,
history's gonna remember a Europa League win, not how you finish second. So I think I think they will win the Europa League though. Like the opposition left in that, they have to win that. Like
yeah,
they should easily be beating Roma. And then Arsenal or Villarreal, like they should be hammering either of them. Like they'll be like it would be a real failure for United not to win this Europa League. So I wouldn't be surprised to see United drop a few points over the next few weeks, but I think they will win this one. I'd say a 2-0 score.
yeah. I've put down United win as well. The next game on Sunday is Leicester Southampton, which is the other game in the FA Cup this weekend, the other semi final.
Yeah, yeah, the other FA Cup semi final. Um, but no, I'd say that yeah, no, Leicester should win. Leicester should win this. Obviously, they beat United in the quarterfinals to advance to the semis. Leicester won 2-0 in the reverse fixture here in January. And then yeah, obviously that and everyone remembers that 9-0 that happened. That was 2019, last season. Leicester's in terms of injuries, Madison is Perez and Chowdhury are back after breaking the COVID rules. Brendan Rodgers seemed kind of protective over them in the media during the week, where he was saying that like there are three young lads and they made mistakes. Like in terms and that they felt really bad for letting their teammates down, etc. So I wouldn't be surprised to see definitely Madison back in the starting 11. Like as much as disciplinary issues aren't to be taken lightly, especially when it's something as serious as COVID. But like you're not playing him to make a statement. Like as an FA Cup semi final, you're getting Madison on the pitch. Like and wouldn't be surprised if Perez started as well. A positive for Leicester in terms of injuries is that Soyuncu's back training after ages out. I don't know if he'll start this one, because it would be kind of soon because he has been out for a good while. Southampton have been such poor form over the last kind of 2-3 months. Like they were top of the league in November. They were still going really good until about Christmas, and then after that they've just flopped. Like,
Yeah,
but like I wouldn't like. I think Ralph Hassan, who is a top manager, and he's done really well with them. And I don't think like I think with these kind of things, it's always kind of funny because if they had been shocking for the first few months of the season, and then their kind of unbelievable form was happening now, we'd all be saying how great of a season they're having. But
yeah,
it's just the fact that it's happened the other way around,
yeah,
So I think I still definitely I'd back Leicester in this one.
yeah. Me too.
It's the kind of the obvious one to go for. But I wouldn't be surprised to see Southampton win either. They've gotten to a final before. I think it was the Carabao Cup against United in 2017. I think it was when Ibrahimovic scored. I think it was 3-1 to United. So I wouldn't be
Oh
surprised
yeah,
that they have experience of getting to finals in the last kind of few years.
yeah,
But no, it wasn't with Arsenal. But no, I'm going to stick with Leicester for this one. That's Sunday evening, that one, and then the
yeah,
Chelsea City is Saturday, and then yeah, that final. I think these games are going to have fans. The FA Cup semi-finals.
yeah. I think they're gonna have neutral fans,
Oh
um,
yeah, I don't get that at
which
all.
is a
But anyway.
bit weird. I think it's just gonna be like local fans around London. So
Yeah, I
maybe,
don't I don't think they really care about like getting actual like fans roaring their teams on. I think it's more just like they're testing like
yeah,
people being in a condensed environment. It's not actually to do with like having fans to support the teams. But
yeah,
anyway, that's besides the point. I'm backing Leicester to win that one.
yeah. Me too. Me too. I think if Southampton won, I don't think Southampton win the FA Cup. Where I think if I see Leicester winning, I think Leicester can beat both. Obviously, they've beat City already. I don't know if they've beat Chelsea this year. Um, but
Oh, they have Leicester beat Chelsea 2-0. It was Lampard's last league game before getting sacked, and it was a
yeah,
shocking performance as well. Like Leicester were like 2-0 sounds okay, but they were all over Chelsea. Like
but like I know that was obviously a different Chelsea side since Lampard
yeah,
has left and
yeah.
Tuchel took over, and City side was completely different because they didn't have Diaz. But I just see Leicester as just like a team that's well capable of beating anyone on their day. Like, so that's what I mean by that. Where I don't think Southampton would beat them. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Leicester. I think it's gonna be not a fairly easy game, but I can see like a 3-1 again. I think
I
Leicester will
think
just be
United
too
we ruined
strong.
this. Such a missed opportunity for United. Like, why don't you, I'm pretty sure they didn't play a lot of their main men in that quarter final. Like, why aren't you like doing
Yeah,
that? Like, surely you'd like what's the word, prioritize an FA Cup quarter final over a league game. Like at the end of the day, as I
yeah,
said, you're coming second either way. Like,
yeah.
go for the FA Cup. Like if you end the season with the FA Cup and the Europa League,
Not a
like
bad
let's say it
season.
is City in the semi. Like you should be beating Southampton, and you have a good record against City, and you should be winning that Europa League. Like you could finish the season with second place, an FA Cup, and Europa League. But anyway, that's again separate to
And
the point.
just as well, like Ole still hasn't won a trophy, which is
Yeah,
something that he
United
needs.
this if United don't win a trophy this year, it's their fourth full season without winning a trophy. Like they haven't won. The last thing they won was the Europa League in 2017.
Yeah.
That's a long
Um.
time.
Yeah, I know. I know. On to the last game that we're going to talk about, Leeds versus Liverpool, which is the Monday night football game, 8 o'clock. There's no major injury news for Liverpool. Just Curtis Jones may be back from his minor injury. Divock Origi is still predicted to be out. Like all the usual injuries that Liverpool have that are
Yeah,
like season long, they're still a thing. It's bigger on Leeds front. So in his recent presser, whenever that was, Marcelo Bielsa talked about how Rafinha picked up a knock against City and is a doubt to play against Liverpool. So they're just waiting to see if if he's okay. Obviously, it's only a knock. It's not like he like tore at or pulled at, and it was just a knock to his thigh. So maybe he'll be back. Obviously, he'd be a big loss to Leeds if he
mm,
wasn't there. As well as that, Liam Cooper suspended because he picked up a red against Man City for his tackle
yeah,
on Jesus, which was obviously don't need to
definitely
talk
red.
about that. It was definitely a red. But yeah, so that's that if both of them, obviously Liam Cooper won't be playing, but if Rafinha doesn't play as well, that is a big loss to Leeds to lose both of them. The only other thing I'd say is the last time that they played each other was the first game of the season for both of them.
4-3.
4-3. It was an intense match to say the least. Because that was also a full strength Liverpool team.
Yeah,
Um,
that was Liverpool with Van Dijk. That was like before any form had
Van Dijk
happened.
Van Dijk scored twice, I think.
Actually, speaking of Van Dijk, I know this is separate to the game, but is there any date being given as to yet about Van Dijk? Because I remember people saying that if Liverpool got to the Champions League semis, that he'd be back for that and stuff. Like,
Yeah,
what's the
I
story about Van Dijk?
I don't know. I haven't heard that in ages, to be honest with you. There was all speculation, as
Yeah,
you said, about that, but I don't know. I don't know because the last thing I heard was from the Dutch manager, who I think is Frank de Boer, is the
yeah,
Dutch manager, and he said that he's hoping that he'll be available for the Euros, but it's not. He doesn't even know yet. So like that's
yeah,
obviously way after the season.
yeah,
But back to the game, Leeds are in 10th on 45 points, and Liverpool are in 6th on 52. So there's only 7 points to separate them. It's not like this mad difference
yeah.
between 10th and 6th. Obviously, if Liverpool come out with the win, that just makes sure that Leeds definitely will never catch up. But I don't know. This is such an iffy game. Obviously, it's the Monday night. I think.
Is it in Anfield or
No,
it's away? Is it? It's Ellen
yeah,
Road.
it's in Ellen Road. Which obviously again makes basically no difference because
Yeah,
Leeds
I know.
beat
Yeah,
City in the Etihad. Because if this is an Ellen Road, you're probably going to say this could be a draw and a convincing draw, like with
mm,
fans, um. But no, I think just because Liverpool's been knocked out of the Champions League, they have a sole focus now. I can see them just getting the job done here, professional performance. But then,
yeah,
like as well, yeah, what I'm also going to say is like Liverpool play into Leeds' hands, but Leeds definitely play into Liverpool's hands with leaving space behind. And just like the way Klopp is stubborn to changing his tactics, so is Marcelo Bielsa. So I mean, I don't think it's going to be 4-3. I don't think it's going to be as close, but I think it could go either way at the same time. But I'm going to back Liverpool.
yeah. I think I agree with you. Like, I think when it's two teams like that who are kind of gung ho the way Liverpool and Leeds are. I think like it all kind of nearly always comes down to like just who has the better quality players up front, and like Liverpool, like Firmino, man, they've been shocking this season. Like, but Jota is in great form. Salah is like one of the best players this season in the league in terms of goals, and like as you said there with Leeds not having Rafinha, I think it's massively important to have like for Leeds to have someone like that on the break against like Liverpool. So as much as Liverpool that will concede, I think to Leeds, like I do think Liverpool will win this.
Yeah, yeah. I think it will be not as tight as it was, but I think it comes down to who scores first, basically.
Yeah, that's a massive thing, especially for in a game like this.
Yeah. Um, I don't think we need to talk about that anymore, to be honest. I think we've covered
Yeah,
all
no,
cylinders.
well, there's obviously games that's Monday night. Obviously on Tuesday night, then Chelsea are playing Brighton, and there's other games, but that's going into the next game week, and we'd be here for about a month if we were to talk about all the games in a row next week. But we'll definitely do another a kind of preview of that soon. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, so that was our Premier League preview for game week 32, and we're back soon. Thanks for listening.